What's going on, Whisper Nation? Austin Sear, Big Travie, Johnny Game Time Hicks joining you for another Mock Draft Monday on April 5th. Let's go. Right here. What's going on, Whisper Nation? What's going on, Big Travie? What's going on, Game Time Hicks? How you guys doing today?
Doing great, man. I'm just like stoked to be on here doing this Mock Draft Monday. We started so much earlier this year. So it's like we have these waves of like excitement. We started with the first two early. Now we're even a little bit earlier, or I guess later, but like it's still too early. I love it, man. I'm obviously confused about the time right now.
Hey, it's Inception with, like dreams within the dreams and reality within realities. Who knows where we're at right now, dude?
Well, for those joining us online, welcome to the Mock Draft. We're going to be going ahead and doing a 10-team PPR mock draft. And if you haven't liked and subscribed already, make sure you do so you can catch the live notifications coming your way. And be sure to follow on Twitter because that's where Johnny's dropping the links to join our sleeper rooms before we actually do this, meaning you can draft alongside of us, drafting alongside the rest of Whisper Nation. We got a lot of great folks who join us every single week. So make sure you like and follow on Twitter so you can get that link and you got to be quick on them because they're filling up pretty quick. And we'd love to have you joining with us next time. But hey, if you didn't make it next time or you didn't make it this time, you can go ahead and ask us questions in the YouTube chat or on Twitter or on Facebook. We do our best to get to all of the questions as they're going. So we'd still love to have you along with us. Let us know how people are doing. Let us know what you're wondering about. We're here for all of it. Johnny, we're doing a 10-team PPR mock draft. Any other things you'd like to let the folks know about this setup here? We got 13 rounds, no kickers, no defenses.
Yep, the definite usual that we like to do on the show. I also want to give a shout out to everyone that's in the chat room right now. It's popping off. I also am streaming live on Instagram as well. We'll push some people over. If we get any questions over there, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, other than that, PPR, only a single quarterback, and it's not like a super flex or anything like that. But these ones are fun because these ones are like super stacked teams. Only a single quarterback. Oh, sorry. I was like, whoa. But yeah, so I think these are super stacked teams, and I'm excited to get this underway. We could probably get started. We're all full here, guys.
Oh yeah, we're full. It's 12:05. Let's get it going. 12:07.
All right.
The Snap Fantasy Football says Johnny Sands' hat is a nice vibe. I gotta say, I'm agreeing, Johnny. I think you are finding your own right now with this recent haircut of yours. I'm not gonna lie.
Why don't we get a little side profile, Johnny? Turn to the side, dude. Show them what we're working with here. I'm actually really
like this.
The top knot Viking look.
I'm starting to get a little bit of a little golden locks on top. It's not bad. Yeah. It's COVID. Oh, I guess I need to go over to the draft board. Hello. I'm like really busy checking out my hair here, and there we go. Now we got on the draft board. My bad. But yeah, starting, it was like COVID. I wanted to switch things up. I was growing my hair out just like Big Travie, and then I was just like, I need to do something with it. And this is what I came up with. So
you're off the fancy ox vibes now, and for
the fancy ox,
those who are in Whisper Nation who don't know. Carol, a good friend of the show, she caught her here and there, likes to call Johnny the fancy ox when he had his hair going how it was. And we've shifted vibes now. We're definitely in the Viking territory. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the hair is getting some comments out galore here. We got to just hit on this vibe. We know we're here to draft some fantasy football teams, but Josh A says, I agree. Johnny looking clean. That's Jay Blizzy, for those that don't know, won our Whisper Nation championship. Snap is in the house. They say, Bun City, Utah. All right.
Wow. Okay.
So, and Johnny's in the valley right now. We call it Valley of the Bun.
Of the Bun. Yeah.
Brett Johnson wants to know if I could pull the same haircut as Game Time. Listen, Brett Johnson, I could pull any haircut I wanted to, but this is where we're at right now. So that's what we're going to do. Just appreciate everybody in here. Austin, what do you think about giving a little rundown of our contestants, though, in the actual draft?
Yeah, we've got joining us here in the sleeper room. We've got Oaked on Thieler. Did anyone know what that first letter is? It's getting cut off.
It's hooked. I think it's hooked on a Thielen.
That's a good Wheel of Fortune guess there. I'd like to solve the puzzle.
I'd like to solve.
Hooked on Thieler. Big Travie, Jay Blizzy. Welcome, Jay Blizzy, our champion of the Whisper Nation Listener League. Make sure you like and follow for a chance to play along with us next year. It's 16-teamer. It gets Johnny Game Time Hicks drafted in the 4. We got the Caspin Pajamas drafting in the 5 spot. M Tout, that is from the Snap Fantasy Football podcast, joining along. We had him on the show just a couple of weeks ago. Great to see you here. Along with then a Taylor of 2 Worlds. Is that what I get? Did I get that one right? A Taylor of 2 Worlds.
Yeah.
Badass. Lando Snap. What's up, Lando? Another member of the Saturday Morning Snap podcast. And Schwartz 625 and the FB Therapist. It is great to have all of you along with us here drafting on this great Monday. And let's see what we got going off the first rounds, guys. I've loved to see the difference is in.
We got a professional here. We got a professional in here, guys.
Wait, so you're telling me we've got 2 Listener League champions in here? Because we got Jay Blizzy, who's the TFW Listener League champion.
Yes.
And then Schwartz 625 is Saturday Snaps Fantasy Football Listener League champion as well. Schwartz 625.
I want to play in that league next year.
I want to spot in there.
I want to play with you guys. I like you guys. You guys are fun to talk to and play football with.
You can get a free entry into the drawing for that Listener League championship also by subscribing on Patreon. Yep. The $5 level gets you in. Raffle ticket into that drawing, along with so much other stuff there. So patreon.com/the Fantasy Whispers.
/the Fantasy Whispers. Check it out. And let's check out these players we've seen gone now in the first round and a half. Christian McCaffrey led us off. Dalvin Cook, number 2. Derrick Henry, number 3. Alvin Kamara, number 4. I'm not shocked with those first 4 selections. Saquon at the 5. Jonathan Taylor, maybe the most interesting and controversial of the early round selections, goes at 6. Nick Chubb, Johnny's boy, at 7. Zeke the Freak at 8, Devontae Adams at 9, and Aaron Jones, another Green Bay Packer, closes the first round off. Cam Akers, starting it up. FB Therapist likes the man out of the Rams backfield here to lead the way. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and DeAndre Hopkins gone. I've really loved, guys, watching the shifts that we've seen, especially from some of these early picks, and then the entire mock draft, if I'm being honest. But just to see these shifts and how they go, and looking forward to seeing what's going to happen before the draft, after the actual NFL draft happens, before training camp, once we get those training camp beat reporter highlights that come in, all of the shifts in ADP. And right now I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor, who we've seen go in the top 3 like the last several weeks, is now out of the top 5 and at 6. I still don't know if I'd take him before Nick Chubb, Johnny, but maybe right after Nick Chubb is a fair spot. What do you think? Well, you're taking your selection right now. I'll ask Big Travie here.
I think that's the right cutoff. I think we've talked about it now for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and then we've obviously seen them retain Marlon Mack on a 1-year deal. Not that I think Marlon Mack is some world beater. I think he definitely ends up being the true handcuff to Jonathan Taylor's role. Mm-hmm. Should he be able to come back from the Achilles healthy? Yeah. But I think it does. It's fair to mention that Frank Reich is, a little bit of a trickster. He's got that Andy Reid, or even more appropriately, Matt Nagy to his game, where he will put in a tight end in the red zone to carry the ball, or he'll throw in Naheem Hines where it should be a bigger back running the ball. Yeah. So there's some funky things that happen that could cap a little bit of Taylor's upside. The guy is such a prospect and such a beast and so talented. And then the biggest question on his profile last year was if he could catch, and he dropped only 1 ball throughout the entire year. So he proved that he can catch at the NFL level and play in a big way. But Nick Chubb is probably the best pure runner in the game right now, and he's in one of the most run-heavy offenses in the game right now. So I do think that's right to slot him behind Nick Chubb, but I don't fault Mac at all for taking Taylor. If that's your guy over Nick Chubb being your guy, then go ahead and take him.
I got truth pimples all over my body right now under this great truth black hoodie. I got truth pimples, goose bumpers all over my body right now, because I think you're exactly right here. And while you might take your preference, and I think you should, we talk about that all the time, draft the guys that you want to watch play. Don't do anything silly or reach too far. But if it's a coin toss between a guy you don't like and a guy you do like, that you have statted out about the same, go with the guy you do like. But I think you broke it down there really well, Travie, of Jonathan Taylor. I think the most logical case for him to be selected, and we talk about this every single mock draft, I'm feeling good after Nick Chubb. It's like Nick Chubb on paper, as Johnny points out all the time, is such an amazing runner, metrically, eyeball-wise. He's great. There's no reason to believe he's going to slow down at all. There's also some question marks in Cleveland. It is a run-heavy team, but you got Kareem Hunt, who's extremely talented. You got an offense that's still evolving with Baker Mayfield, young quarterback.
You said eyeball-wise. Does he have good vision? Is that what you're saying? He's got good eyeballs?
He just looks great running. He's one of those guys who he passes the smell test. He looks good on paper. Looks good. Smells good.
Hey, you know my saying on that. If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
It's duck season, right? So I'm with you right there. But to Jonathan Taylor, Jonathan Taylor should go right behind Nick Chubb, in my opinion, because Jonathan Taylor could be the next Nick Chubb. Jonathan Taylor could be that next running back that looks good on camera, looks good on paper, runs behind a run-heavy team. All of these things stacking up. But Nick Chubb's just done it already. And I'm not going to say that Jonathan Taylor is about to be a better running back than Nick Chubb when Nick Chubb is so good. But because we haven't seen it multiple years, I'm putting Jonathan Taylor right behind Nick Chubb. But those guys seem like really even in terms of upside, in terms of floor, in terms of role, in terms of everything they got going on. And then more importantly, I'd put him right above Ezekiel Elliott, because Ezekiel Elliott has real things pointing to him that would give me pause, that drains my excitement on taking Ezekiel Elliott in the first round. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good.
You're saying we're splitting hairs here. Case to be made as Chubb for RB1 on the year, but JT on a full workload can't be far behind. No. He's straight up one of my guys. I understand that, but it's like it's the workload. Like, he's not going to get a full workload with them re-signing Marlon Mack. Like, that's a big concern, and that would be where my thing is. Oh baby, let's go. Oh yes, dude, this is great. This is classic. This is what I love about mock drafts and just drafts in general. I was going back and forth between a few guys in the last round. I had 3 guys on my list. I was hoping that I would get 2 of them, and sure enough, I did. Let's go. Wow. Joe Mixon, let's go.
Joe Mixon in the 3rd. I feel actually good about that one. And y'all,
I do too.
I got some squabbles with Whisper Nation going back to last season when we saw Joe Mixon going at the end of the 1st, and it just didn't do it for me. I was not excited to be taking Joey Mix right there. But here in the 3rd, I think that's really good. And I'm looking at this now and thinking, why would he really move up in drafts? Do you think that Joe Mixon we can expect to kind of go at the end of the 2nd, beginning of the 3rd, and in larger drafts? Is he appropriately slotted right there, Johnny?
Yeah, I think that's probably where he's going to end up going, because you're talking about a lot of those second-year running backs are going kind of throughout the entire 2nd round. Yeah, and so I don't I can't fault people for wanting to take those guys. Like, they're more intriguing. We kind of have seen what we've seen in Joe Mixon, and it's not been, and it's pretty much been a disappointment. But I actually really do like his value, especially, like you said, I'm getting him as my RB3. And so I can now kind of gamble and say, like, I'm going to bet that his upside is going to be there. And then if it's not, it's going to be okay, because I have faith in my first 2 running backs. So I really like Joe Mixon. I think he's underrated. They fixed that offensive line a little bit more, and hopefully they'll address it even more in the draft. It says a lot of offensive linemen are in this draft. That's what, according to the quote unquote expert. So, it'll be. I like Joe Mixon as a backman.
I got to take just a second on him, because I've besmirched the man more times than one, and I'm turning around now on him. We're talking about a 24-year-old running back right now who only played 6 games last year. I almost kind of like that. He got to keep that tread off of the tires. Cincinnati's a more exciting team. They killed dead weight, when they got rid of A.J. Green. And, hey, I love him on the Cardinals. I think he's fine. I think it's a fun little veteran piece to add. But you got a legend in Cincinnati in A.J. Green, and he's not playing at legendary levels anymore. You used to have him with his quarterback, the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. That's old news now. He's on 4 different teams since then. It's like, get into the new environment. Joe Burrow is the future. Joe Burrow's got great energy that he brings. We saw what he was capable of. We saw the volume that he can let that ball go. They've got really talented young wide receivers. They're on the up. And Joe Mixon, he's rested. He's young. He's talented. And you're not going to expect for him to be like a Saquon Barkley, but have a role that he can actually handle. I think that Joe Mixon's going to – I'm liking Joe Mixon this year. I'm coming around.
I want to take – I know, Austin, you're about to run down these like mad style repeating these, but I do want to give a mad shout out. We got Stepmom Lauren in the house.
What up, Stepmom Lauren?
Love us some Stepmom Lauren, friend of the show, on the show. She's She's so busy these days. It's insane.
She's writing for NBC Sports Edge, formerly Roto World. She's writing for the Fantasy Footballers. Her Twitter account is bumping all the time. If you haven't followed her, what the heck is wrong with you? Go follow Stepmom Lauren. Just don't Google the name. It's Stepmom Lauren. Find it on Twitter. She's incredible. You will follow her and find out why very quickly. She's awesome. As is this draft. We left off here with, I think, Travis Kelce, third pick in the second. DeAndre Hopkins was taken afterwards. I'm going to run down the rest to get our audio-only listeners caught up. DeAndre Hopkins was taken fourth pick in the second, followed by DK Metcalf. Then J.K. Dobbins, James Robinson, Austin Eckler, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Julio Jones rounding out the second round. We saw the third round start off with Michael Thomas, followed by A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson, Miles Sanders, Najee Harris, first rookie off the board. And the third round closed with Justin Jefferson, last year's phenom rookie wide receiver in Minnesota. Fourth started off with Keenan Allen, followed by David Montgomery, Allen Robinson, George Kittle. Calvin Ridley was taken in the fourth, and Johnny's making his fourth round selection right there. Travis, we just saw Calvin Ridley go after Julio Jones, significantly after Julio Jones. This has been an interesting talking point. Where do you see these two appropriately shaking out in actual draft time? Come August.
I think they'll be a little bit more bunched together. We're seeing some weird things in this. One, it's a 10-team league. So we're seeing some things shake out a little bit differently, and gaps are a little bit more. You got a lot of value in that third round. We talked about Joe Mixon,
for sure,
Gibson, Miles Sanders. I think that people are sleeping on Julio Jones a lot. And me and Johnny just talked a little bit about this last week, and Julio Jones is getting a little bit disrespected. I mean, we used to get this guy at the end of the first, beginning of the second.
Yeah.
In this one, he's going end of the second. I've seen him go in the third in other drafts this offseason.
He's gone in like the fourth, too.
Last year was the first time since 2013 that he didn't play more than 14 games in a season. He usually plays through injury. He had played 9 games, but on a per game basis was a wide receiver 1 per game in those 9 games. So this is a guy that continuously does what he does. And we've seen guys in the past, Randy Moss, Andre Johnson, I'm blanking on a few other guys here, but play well, Terrell Owens play well into their age and stay consistent as that possession wide receiver with such a big body. And we know Matt Ryan loves him. We know he's going to get the targets. I think they get bunched together. I think Ridley belongs somewhere in that third and fourth round, depending on the league size. And I think that Julio Jones is easily a guy you can slot in there. And I'm running.
I think Julio Jones brings elements to the table that no other wide receiver really in the NFL brings. Maybe that's changing now with DK Metcalf.
Lack of touchdowns.
The lack of touchdowns are there, but we're talking about a 6'3" physical freak. And I think that his physical freakness oftentimes gets a little bit clouded. But when you listen to Larry Fitzgerald say that Julio is the best wide receiver he's ever seen, that means something to me. A guy who has been able to play alongside Randy Moss and Terrell Owens and Megatron and some really insane wide receivers. And for Fitzgerald to praise Julio as high as he does, Julio is special. And I'm still going to be excited about him until I see a full season of disappointment, I guess. He's just such an interesting character. I don't know what the legacy of Julio Jones is going to be when it's all said and done. I think he could be one of those almost like guys who you will always have to throw in the GOAT conversation, but people forget. Almost like the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of basketball. Somebody who you never even mentioned in the GOAT conversation, but you're like, he's all-time scoring leader. Weird stuff. I don't know.
I think he's a much humbler version of Terrell Owens as far as production's concerned. You look at what Terrell Owens was able to do in the league, but he's kind of been blackballed, so to speak, because of the way he acts a lot of the times. Julio is just very quiet and does his thing and gets it done. I don't think Julio is going to be, he's going to be a Hall of Famer first ballot and do a lot of things that we're going to look back on his career and go, man, he was a lot better than I think we were giving him credit for during. And I think to your point, very special physically. And he's such a compiler of yards in every single game he plays. So
definitely special.
Yeah. Really excited about that. Really excited. Everybody in here, man. We're rocking today on this Monday. People are excited. First Monday of April. We're getting into that spring. Spring is sprung. We just had Easter.
Yeah.
He is risen, and I've risen with some coffee today. And I think I'm putting together a good team here.
Let's see. We after Calvin Ridley, Johnny picked up Patrick Mahomes, Darren Waller. Travis, you grabbed Mike Evans. I want to touch on him in a second here, and then Kenny Golladay to close out the fourth before we saw the fifth round get started. I'll save that for the next rundown. But Travi there with Mike Evans, talking about another perennial stud who maybe gets disrespected and dismissed more than he deserves to. That's Mike Evans, man, the Mr. 1,000-yard receiver himself, never missed a 1,000-yard season in 7 straight years, rookie season included, Super Bowl champion now. The man that Tom Brady, returning quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, said he wants to make him a living legend. Do you think that next year Mike Evans outperforms or underperforms what we saw this year? What's your expectations for Big Mike?
I think he can easily climb into the top 5 because what you saw last year was that Brady really got it going down the stretch, and so did Mike Evans with Brady. Now, obviously, there's mouths to feed there, and we're going to get O.J. Howard back, which will be interesting to see how they run the dual tight end system with O.J. Howard and also Gronk. But I think Mike Evans, we proved down the stretch with the touchdowns he was scoring down the stretch with Tom Brady that he definitely probably wants to cash in. I think he's a lock to be a top 15 wide receiver, but then has the upside to be, really top 5 if they get clicking like they did down the stretch.
Last year, he was the number 8 wide receiver to close the year, 11 in PPR. He was a wide receiver 1 last year. He's 27 years old. I think I'm excited about Tom Brady returning, even with another age on the man's, another year on his age. The familiarity he has in the system and that good diet Tom Brady's been putting down his throat hole for the last couple of years. Looks like he's going to be able to keep playing at a really high level. And I think Mike Evans is going to do better next year than he did this year. And he was the wide receiver number 8.
I do think that, he's a good bet. I was looking at him for sure. I was deciding between him and Pat Mahomes. I think he's a really good value, but I do start to see and understand why people are tending to be a little bit lower on him because, like to Travis's point, he just listed O.J. Howard as the person adding to targets, but you've also got Chris Godwin didn't play a big majority of those Mike Evans game, or last season. You also didn't have Antonio Brown, and we'll see if Antonio Brown ends up re-signing with that. They're still negotiating, but it's just the amount of targets or amount of targets could go down for him, and that would be a concern, especially in the red zone.
I think that would be true only if Tampa Bay were to kind of put the brakes on their offense, and I think we saw the reverse, right? I think what we saw was Tampa Bay started to get going because Brady started to understand what BA wanted and what he wanted to do in that offense. I think second year with Brady and BA and these wide receivers, I think they both have room to eat really well, and we could see a situation like that where you're just going to want a piece of that offense.
I think that's a good point, Rob, probably, right? And while I was almost wondering how Travi was able to grab Mike Evans there so late in the fourth, yeah, it's a 10-teamer, but even still. But then I looked at the other players that are going before Mike Evans and the players that are going after Mike Evans, and there's just a lot of good wide receivers right now that I'd like to get your take on here. We're looking at Mike Evans, and it's like, oh my gosh, he's so good. There's all this stuff going on. But who's taking right after? Kenny Golladay. Okay, hip issues are there, but this is such a stud young receiver that your good things could come. And then if you go into the next round, we saw DJ Moore. We see Terry McLaurin. We're seeing, going to the 6th round, Adam Thielen. These are all really good receivers with major upside. And especially DJ Moore and Terry McLaurin, you could make cases for them being right up there too. And so Mike Evans, I still think he's being done a little bit dirty, but then if you go into the picks taken before him, there's really not a lot of slouches going there either, right? Calvin Ridley, we expect to take another big jump. Go skip Chris Godwin, but then Allen Robinson showed what a real stud he actually is last year, as he does every year. Keenan Allen, Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Michael Thomas. None of these guys are there's just a lot of good wide receivers in the NFL right now from
we're going to see a very fantasy. Yeah, and I wonder how much it's correlated to, obviously, the league throwing more than it ever has. But also, we've seen it the last couple of years, especially last year, there was that group of wide receivers, and we're seeing it kind of compile again this year from rounds 3 to 7 or 4 to 7, where it's just you could just start to hammer wide receiver in these rounds, and you look back and go, man, I really put myself together a really big squad of wide receivers here that I can interchange out and handle injury with. And I think that's a beautiful place to be at for fantasy football.
Travis, you're helping me put together a draft strategy here. I guess a big question I'd want to know would be, where does my comfort level with wide receivers actually fall off? Sometimes I'll be drafting here and I'll be looking
have that tier break. Where does it end?
And the guys like that, I love that tier when you get maybe we're talking like third, fourth, fifth tier wide receivers. And we're talking about players that have a lot of question marks, but have crazy upside at the same time. And every year, a couple of those guys pop off, and grabbing a guy with crazy upside that has question marks. Like I'm thinking last year's DK Metcalf, for instance, or last year's Keenan Allen, for instance. Like these were guys going in like the 4th round, 5th round that ended up being really great players. And nobody at the top busted either, like Javonte Adams, Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, like all these guys who were taken at the top, they all went well too. But that then comes in the question of, who do you just draft? Is it the running back scarcity you try to prioritize then? And really for me, that's all it really comes down to. It's like, can I avoid grabbing a running back now and get one later? Or am I going to miss off on a true difference maker at the running back position?
That is why we do this. We mock draft, so you can build that strategy out that Austin's talking about there. That is why you're going to follow us, subscribe to us, obviously, not to toot our own horn, and it's really not just because we're doing anything different or special. It's really just about putting the information in your mind, because if you continue to compile the information, it's like practice for a football player. They do all the mundane little crap over and over and over again. So when the big moment comes in the game, it's like muscle memory for them. And they can just snatch that touchdown and you see these amazing plays. That's going to be you on draft day. You're going to be like Russell Crowe, a beautiful mind. And you're going to be like, you're going to remember Johnny's point about DeAndre Swift. And you're going to be like, DeAndre Swift. And you're going to black out. You didn't even know why you wanted him or why you drafted him, but it was going to be Johnny.
No, are you kidding me? How does that even auto pick to that?
Yeah,
you auto pick to CD Lamb, who is like, I don't know, wide receiver 10 down on this list.
He probably made a list, bro.
Unbelievable.
He probably had a player list.
This is unbelievable right now. What is this again? 10,
Johnny.
There were 10 wide receivers.
League, bro. You're not going to get all the wide receivers, bro. All right, you can't have them all.
Is just destroyed. I would have taken CeeDee Lamb. Let it be, the record be shown. That is garbage. I call BS on that. The
question is, how does he recover? Because this Whisper Nation is a case study in sniping action, even though he was sniped a few picks on down later. But what do you do? What do you do when the guy he's basically already on your team?
He should not have gone that early.
Snap comes in and says, "You hate to see that. You hate to see that." And so he's vibing with you, Johnny. He probably had a Q made. Yeah, I think the Q was
and
there.
Also, what's more realistic? They take Lamar Jackson in this 7th round as the number 1 quarterback there. This is just unbelievable.
This is such a great. I need to find the Yahoo article. The author of this article, she wrote such a good piece last year about ways.
This is Cortland Sutton. This is just unraveling right before my eyes. This is terrible. This is just straight up terrible.
Well, Johnny pulls his life together to try to make a pick here after this tumultuous explosion that we've seen just happen. It actually sets up, this is a great case study when you're actually on the clock drafting for your real league, of not to get destroyed. And I got to find the author, this Yahoo fantasy writer. She had such a great point on how the sniping psychology ends up taking place when we do our drafts. And her basic thing was, get ahead of it by planning on getting sniped every single round and knowing ahead of time who you're going to be taking if that player gets sniped. So if I'm picking at pick number 10 and pick number 7 is going up, so there's 7, 8, 9 picks before me here until like the 4th. What I'm doing is I'm saying these are the 4 players I'm taking, as if the 4 people ahead of me or the 3 people ahead of me are in my head and are going to take the guy I want, followed by the second guy I want, followed by the third guy I want. So who is that 4th one? And just try to get comfortable with that before it actually happens. Because if it does happen, then you've only got like 120 seconds to make up your mind.
Or in my case, 60 seconds.
Or in your case, 60 seconds. But that's why we're professionals.
This is unbelievable. I knew I should have taken Jamar Chase. I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have taken him. You can rewind the tape. I smirked as I made the pick because I knew I didn't want to make that pick. I wanted to go with either CD or Cortland Sutton, and then I was like, okay, no big deal.
Yeah,
I'll
honestly,
bracket
dude,
it.
honestly, your team is ruined, but it wasn't. It happened long before that, so
No,
don't
it
even
didn't
worry
happen.
about it, dude.
It
Like,
did
Why
not
did you
happen.
take?
Mine
Why did you take
derailed-
Jamar? Why'd you take Jamar instead?
Because I wanted to. Well, my plan was to
it's
make a
all
point.
part of the plan.
No, yeah, it was my plan was to make it so that way. And my argument was going to be like, hey, I still think, 6th round is early for Jamar Chase.
Hey,
But if you want to get your guy, like you wanted to get this guy, make sure you bracket it with guys that can counterpunch that or like counterbalance it if it doesn't work out. And the two guys that would have worked really well in my trio was CeeDee Lamb and Cortland Sutton. And now they're both gone. And now I had to settle for Uncle Lenny, and he's my 4th running back. I need a trade, dude. I need to make some trades.
The snap in here saying David Johnson's still on the board for you.
And the Casper Pajamas wanted Big Lenny. And I want to know, I got to ask you about Lenny. There was a line that came out recently. Lenny's playing for the Bag.
Is it a white line? No, I'm just kidding.
He's probably avoiding them this year, at least if what he indicated is honest. And that's that he's looking to play for the Bag. He took a discount to come back and play in Tampa Bay. He had a good Super Bowl. He is 26 years old, but Leonard Fournette plays mean. He's big. He's different. He's kind of had an up and down experience in the NFL. I know Travis could share a lot of ups and downs about Leonard Fournette, mainly downs. But I want to know: is this an actual year that Leonard Fournette could surprise? Is this contract situation legitimate for Lenny? We don't have a lot of data to say it is, but we all get the logic behind it. If Leonard Fournette is saying that he's playing for the Bag, is that anything to emphasize more?
I think go ahead, Travis.
I didn't mean to cut you off. My thing on Leonard Fournette is like I had just wished he'd gone somewhere else. I just kept wanting him to get signed by someone else because I love Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette respectively in this offense if either of them is the guy because it's just going to be so profitable. But I don't know. We could have a very smelly situation, sticky situation here with these two both being healthy and going into this year. Like which one is going to be the guy? Because, I know that Johnny was adamant that it would be Leonard Fournette, and Leonard Fournette did do his part down the stretch. But Ronald Jones was good last year in really big stretches of getting volume. He was profitable for fantasy football. So, I'd be interested to hear Johnny's counterpoint on that and what he thinks ends up shaking out this year with a year under our belt with Tom Brady and BA.
So here's my theory. I do think he is a good value simply because people are debating this, right? And there's a big question as, hey, is it so? Because, to Ronald Jones' credit, like he did look really good last year when he was given the opportunity. Like I was impressed. The whole world was impressed because it was like, oh, wow, he actually is, the running back that we thought he maybe could be. And then as we saw he got injured and then Uncle Lenny took over. And, we have to remember that Uncle Lenny had a sprained ankle in the beginning of the season. And it was like hush hush, but it was presumably or reported that it was like a high ankle sprain. And that's significant when you're a running back. And so my point would be what we saw down the stretch was that Uncle Lenny was an RB1 and they were leaning on him, and Ronald Jones was healthy during that time. And so you have to think with that being said, and then the fact that, he's like returning and saying like, I want my bag now. Like I'm taking a discount, but I still, oh my goodness, this is I'm trying to distract myself, not point out what wide receivers that I'm going to get in every single round. It ends up being the guy that I was waiting for. One away each time for my plan to be working. And this is just going haywire. But needless to say, I do believe it's going to be sticking with Ronald Jones. I think that that is why he returned and that he is looking to get his next payday and as well as another ring or chance at another ring. And so, and like you said, you're not paying for what you had to, like the draft capital. Even last year, the draft capital was pretty significant compared to what it is now. So I think it's kind of a win-win.
I'm not. So you think both are are fine pickups. Then that's where it's coming at, and that right
At least later on in the draft, it sounds like not early round selection.
Oh
but
my
yeah,
gosh,
and like
I'm
based on
so
where they're at
screwed.
ADP.
I'm so screwed. That was horrible. Sorry,
Rondale
what
Moore,
did
Jamar Chase?
No, I guess I was just asking to surmise what you're saying is you think that both are probably priced about right, and that you're willing to take a shot on either or this year based on ADP where they're at right now.
I wouldn't take a chance on Ronald Jones at that ADP. Once Leonard Fournette re-signed, to me that indicated that he had the discussion that, hey, he was going to be the lead guy and that they weren't fully comfortable.
I haven't read anything that says that they told him he'll be the lead guy. And I think
I'm saying that by them signing him again, that
by him not
indicates
taking a bag, right? Like that's what you're saying. Like by him not taking a bag, he got assurances. I haven't read anything that says that, so I can't really. I like the assumption. I like the logic. I think that's great logic. I can't vibe with that though. And so to me, I think that this has more of a chance to end up like a New England situation where we may not know who the guy is going to be week to week if they're both healthy. I'm just a little bit hesitant, but I think if I misinterpreted what you're saying, but I would like them both at that spot. I think you might as well take a chance at one of them being the guy, whoever the guy is you think it is.
Speaking of getting your guys, I'm going to do a rundown again for our listener only to get everybody caught up here after we closed down the 4th round. We saw the 5th round there start with Chris Carson, recently signed again with Seattle. We should touch on that. Melvin Gordon, followed by Amari Cooper, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Travis Etienne, Kenyon Drake, Cooper Kupp, Mark Andrews, and Javonte Williams. Robert Wood started the 6th round. Kareem Hunt followed by Adam Thielen, Russell Wilson, Odell Beckham, Juju Smith-Schuster back in Pittsburgh, Jamar Chase, Johnny's favorite pick, Tyler Lockett, DJ Chark, CeeDee Lamb, and the 7th round started off with Lamar Jackson out of Baltimore, followed by Josh Allen, a couple good young quarterbacks there, Cortland Sutton, Leonard Fournette, Raheem Mostert, Kyler Murray, Todd Gurley, Dak Prescott there, Deontay Johnson and T. Higgins closed the 7th. We saw the aforementioned Ronald Jones start off the 8th. David Johnson is finally gone. Sorry, Snap. Deebo Samuel, Marquise Brown, Jerry Jeudy, Brandon Ayuk, Rondale Moore, Will Fuller, and Jarvis Landry here with Hooked on a Thielen about to close out the 8th round with the auto-picked player.
Yeah, let's see who he auto-picked. Oh, good.
Lindsay.
Philip Lindsay. Why couldn't I get that kind of pick two rounds ago? That Philip Lindsay on a This is just ridiculous.
We got not only Mac, who represents Snap, but also Lando just popped in. He said, "What up, homies? Sorry I couldn't tune in until now to your live stream. What's up, Lando? Appreciate you being in here regardless. We'll get the Snap boys on the channel again soon. We know that's Snap saying the trigger is hot today, talking about that auto draft trigger. It's really caused Johnny so much pain that he himself auto drafted a player.
Well, no, I got Rondale Moore. I clicked Rondale Moore before the actual timer
it said
went
time's
off.
up on my computer, but maybe
it did. But I will say I did click on Rondale
it's
Moore.
A delay
because
it's like a yellow light. It tells you time's up, but while I think time's up is there, it still lets you get a pick in.
Yeah, but it didn't matter because that was not necessary. Now I do like Rondale Moore in like a rookie draft. Sign me up. I think he's extremely interesting. But I'm not convinced. Like I would not be taking him in a real draft in the 8th round. I would talk too much in my last pick, and I didn't have enough time to figure out what I wanted to do because all of my
no way.
Yeah, unbelievable. All of my picks were gone. Like literally all the guys on my list that I wanted to look at: Deontay Johnson, T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk was the big one. That was what was going to salvage my whole day, but instead. No, I get what do you know? I get
Speaking
sniped.
Of salvaging days and getting sniped, I want to play a little game here. And I want to do this to try to help make some.
I want to play a game.
Yeah, I like to play a whole game.
Do you guys remember the Jigsaw at Work or Jigsaw is the roommate?
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, it's so funny.
That's a good video.
That's such a good one.
Yeah.
We should do that. We should make something like that for a fantasy football theme.
Yeah,
but
I'm down.
Yeah, maybe we'll get something like that going. But I wanted to ask some of these. So we're doing these mock drafts, right? And every time we do them, especially these early in the season mock drafts, you find these guys that are like, how is he still there? Or like, whoa, people are really excited about this guy and they're reaching for him. So I want to highlight a couple of guys from each round, and I want to ask Johnny and Travis: is this guy at his current position a reach or a steal? So
I love this. I love this game.
Is this a reach or a steal here? And so in the first round, right, we'll just go round by round, if that's okay with you. And some of the guys that kind of stand out the most here right now. For me, Aaron Jones in the first round at pick 10. Is this a reach or is this a steal? Or is it?
We're going to have like a accurately priced right where it should be, or
maybe say
the price is right, Bob.
Yeah, the price is right. So
price is right.
I think the price is right on Aaron Jones right there. I think that's right about where he should go. I think you could say that he's a bit of a reach if you really liked him at the beginning of the second. This is a 10-team league. If we were going off 12-team, we could talk a little bit more. But I think this is where he's priced. He had the negative touchdown regression last year and still scored, 14 total touchdowns, I believe, last year. This is an offense that's going to be without Jamal Williams, so there's going to be vacated work in that sense as well. Aaron Jones himself is the only other weapon outside of Davante Adams in this offense. We always talk about the weapons. He's essentially the number 2 wide receiver for this offense in a lot of ways. And I just think that this offense runs so much deception off of what they do in the running game, which is predicated on Aaron Jones. So he really is the cog. They proved it by giving him the long-term deal. He proved that he wants to be the guy for them by signing a team-friendly deal. I just don't know how you can make a case for other running backs that are going past him, and so I think it really comes down to the strategy where Aaron Jones is. Do you want to go wide receiver there? Is that where you want to pivot? Or do you want to maybe go tight end with Travis Kelce? Or do you want to build RB robust? And I think, what Therapist did here is nice. It's you get upside in both those guys. Yeah, I think the price is right.
I like that one. I like that breakdown. Johnny, how about in the second round here? Julio Jones, we talked about him. He's the 5th wide receiver off the board. Going at the end of the second, is it a reach, a steal, or is the price right?
I think him going as the 5th overall wide receiver and in the second round is a reach for your guy. I'm sorry. Like I do agree 100% with all the facts that we stated earlier about Julio still being a wide receiver 1, but I think he is tending to be, because of Calvin Ridley being there and how dominant he is and the lack of the touchdowns. He's never had it. We keep hoping it happens, but at some time, we got to say a duck is a duck. And so at that point, I would say that I would rather have, guys like AJ Brown or Stephon Diggs or Justin Jefferson, and potentially even Mike Evans above Julio. And so I would say it's not like a significant reach for your guy, but it's a reach for your guy.
You gave him a reach for your guy, like all pumped up, like you were some pro wrestler there. Then you backtrack.
I'm just jacked up, dude, on Mountain Dew. All right, that's actually it's not. It's just water, but I'm excited to be
Mountain Dew in years.
Oh, Eric Zuber coming in. Oh, so we got is Easy Daddy here with a different name? Hooked on Thieler here.
Wait, is that? He said he could.
He said he couldn't make it because of work, but he's saying he came up for air.
Just an auto pick. Got it. Okay, I feel that one. I hit you on that one.
I wish you would have taken an auto pick like that. Where he took CeeDee Lamb. That would have been quite nice.
The guy standing out to me here in the third round, Miles Sanders. Some question marks here. Is Miles Sanders in the third round, 8th pick there? Is that a steal? Is that a reach? Or is the price right?
I think this is probably borders on a steal, a little baby steal here in the third round. I think that we were taking, Miles Sanders based on his ceiling last year in the end of the first. And I think that he's probably, a second round guy. I don't see why you can't grade him as well as some of these second year guys. Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, James Robinson, Antonio Gibson. I don't see why you can't take him in the second round. So this is probably a bit of the 10-team league coming into play, but I think he's a bit of a steal here.
I think he's a bit of a steal. Let me tell you why I think he's a little.
It's like a candy bar.
Yeah, why is that
a candy bar? No, it's it's a little steal. Yeah, it's a little steal. It's like a candy bar. It's like
all you picked up was a candy bar, or maybe you forgot.
It feels good. It's not going to change your life, but like
you forgot something on the bottom of the cart. You didn't mean to. You get home or you get to the car. You're like, oh.
Or you get like a free upgrade on your. I had this happen to me last week. Ask Big Travie on my Delight milkshake. They gave me. I just ordered a regular, and they gave me like this large, extra large one. It would be something like that, dude. It's
I feel that. I like that. And here's also why I like Miles Sanders. I think he's a really talented running back. I don't think there's a lot of talent behind him. And they just got a new coach in charge, right? That's going to come with a new scheme. That's going to come with a new dispersion of targets and carries. And we've seen Doug Peterson was just so generous with getting the ball into everybody's hands. It really can't get much worse than that. And I know that he said Miles Sanders was our guy, but it was still kind of a distributed backfield. And if another coach comes in that wants to prioritize him, I don't think it could be much worse than what Miles Sanders has seen. So because of the competition behind him or lack thereof and the role he's got on the team, I think Miles Sanders could be poised to have a nice bell cow position on an improved Eagles team. Yeah, he's still young. But okay, like moving along here. How about here, Calvin Ridley? We'll stay with the Atlanta Falcons players. Calvin Ridley, is this a steal, a reach, or just about right here in the 4th round? I'm kind of thinking this is a steal if he's supposed to be as good or better than Julio. But am I?
Yeah, I think it's close to a steal. I would agree with that. I think if we're going to play the game of what's most likely to happen, we know gosh dang it, Johnny.
Oh, good. You get a little bit of sense of what I've been going through all day.
Oh, that's how you do it. You make me feel bad because others have made you feel bad, Johnny. That's how you play the game.
I'm projecting my bitterness onto you. All right.
Your trauma from past rounds. You're just projecting it out towards me. I don't believe it.
It's like when Larry Bird said he'd rather watch his enemies lose than himself win. He gets more enjoyment from that losing.
That's some dark stuff right there.
See you, Eric. We'll see you next week. Hopefully you can join us.
Definitely here.
So you're saying, sorry, Calvin Ridley, you were asking whether he's...
steal, is that a reach? Is that price right there in the 4th? Right after Chris Godwin, right before Mike Evans.
I think it's just right about right. I feel good. Like you're feeling good about.
It's definitely closer to the steal side than the reach side. But I guess if I'm saying he's a steal, I'm only basing that off of Julio Jones. But I think Julio Jones was a big reach at that point. So it's not really fair to base.
Oh, man. I love where we're getting here. We're getting a little therapeutic here in the comments. Oh. Josh A says, people who hurt people have been hurt. Or, I like the phrase, hurt people, hurt people. So like that's what's happening here, Johnny. Look, we're going to work through this with you. Johnny, really, this is a case study for everyone else in here. When you get burned in the draft, Austin brought up some of the social experiment you could do to try and help yourself.
You guys just laugh it up. You're not the one sharing. You're not the one sharing your screen where people can see where your mouse is going.
Oh yeah,
it's unbelievable. I know that this is what they do. I know.
Dude, this is just an elaborate hoax to try to get you on full tilt and just to get you just go crazy.
Hey. I clearly was going to win this draft, and you guys are all conspiring against me. You hear it. You heard it here.
We are conspiring man. We are messing you up. We're getting you good. No, I do love that here. And Josh, hey, people who hurt people. We got the FB therapist in here. We got just like a bunch of traumatized lovers trying to make the world a better place and make sense of it all. Right? Isn't that just what any of us here are trying to do? As we're coming into the 11th round, picking up these players. So I'm not going to keep going round by round. I do want to get us caught up for the listener-only ones before we get too far ahead and get to the end of the draft where we will be doing our infamous draft grades. But we closed out here with Phillip Lindsay in the 8th. Devontae Smith started the 9th round out, followed by Myles Gaskin, Kenneth Gainwell, TJ Hawkinson, Chase Edmonds, Kyle Pitts, Brandon Cooks, James Conner, Tyler Boyd, and Aaron Rodgers closed out the 9th round. We saw the 10th round begin with Chase Claypool, followed by Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Michael Gallup, Jalen Waddle, Deshaun Watson, Devontae Parker, got a lot of noise out of that one. Ryan Tannehill's gone, so is Julian Edelman and Tony Pollard to close out the 10th. We saw the 11th round start off with a couple of tight ends and Rob Gronkowski and Evan Ingram, followed by Tom Brady and Tyler Higbee. taken by Johnny Game Time Hicks. T.Y. Hilton now is halfway through the 11th round, and we'll see where the draft ends up going from there. But that gets us up to this position.
Yeah, your boys started playing dirty. I grabbed. I love what so Lando, piggybacking off what he did. So he picked up Herbert, so none of y'all can take him, which I do like that strategy. And then that's what I was doing. Like, not many people have tight ends, so you know what? I'm going to double up because my wide receivers. Let's be honest, they're hideous. All right, and so I'm going to need to have some pieces here where I would be able to trade and get another wide receiver piece. You know, maybe one of the ones that got sniped from me, I would be able to go and get. But yeah, so
yeah, it's a shame you don't have any other players you could trade, though. That's the problem. Your team's just not doing
Tradable.
it.
That's a good question. I want to ask you guys this. So, when Lando comes in here and says, I'm taking Justin Herbert, so none of y'all can get him. We know every year there's a couple of players that have like crazy upside, but major question marks that's driving down their ADP. But you know that your entire league is keeping an eye out for that person. Your entire league is trying to get in on that action. I think Justin Herbert's probably like the lead candidate for that this year. You're going to have like nobody's even going to talk about Justin Herbert. You're going to have everybody fill in the conversation with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, like Dak Prescott. Everyone's going to be running their mouth about him, and he's going to be back just as well. And Russell Wilson, blah, blah, blah. I think Justin Herbert's going to be the one that everybody's going to pretend they're not even thinking about. But everybody actually wants Justin Herbert more than anybody else because everyone sees Justin Herbert as being able to be just as good as Patrick Mahomes, light, but way better value. But everyone wants him so bad that no one's going to talk about him.
I just imagine all of us at our draft at this September, and just all of us no, bro, I don't want Justin Herbert, or I don't want Herbert, dude. And just like each of us saying that now, and just secretly being like in the back of our minds, being like, yeah, I want to be the one that gets Herbert. Guy. I don't know if it's going to be. I mean, I do like the value that Herbert is going. I think there's a couple of guys that it could be that are definitely interesting. Like, they're going to be eyeballs on like when does this guy come? Like, I think Josh Allen is another one of those guys that is like, people are going to be like, I don't know if I buy into it, but like secretly everyone wants Josh Allen.
I think his value is just going to be so high after coming off as the number one quarterback.
We haven't seen it yet, and we're still early, obviously, but we just have not seen Josh Allen's ADP correct just yet. And we're still seeing, I got him in the 7th.
I mean, Lamar is coming off the board before him.
Yeah, still. And that's been the case even in today, where Lamar went a lot later than I've seen him go. But Josh Allen still, like, that'll be an interesting case this year, is where Josh Allen ends up, in June and July ADP wise, because to your point, Austin, he should be higher based on just the production from last year. That should be baked in here. But we're not seeing it. Right.
I'm really curious to see, like, for me on the quarterback side, the one that I am right now, at least salivating over, that I would be so freaking stoked if I could get him in the double-digit rounds, would be Jalen Hurts. Like, for me, and it's only exciting if I can get him late, because this to me, it could be a top 4 quarterback that you're getting crazy, crazy late, and he's going to have a lot of the attention appeal. Like, if Jalen Hurts pops off, this guy's going to be on SportsCenter every single.
Yeah, trade.
What's happening?
Darnold on the move. Deshaun Watson.
What's going on?
Wait, no. What's going on? Oh, this is what we got. Breaking news right now, ladies and gentlemen. What is
it's happening? Live on
big
air.
Trade. We got things going down.
All right, so here I have it here from Schefter.
Right.
Filed to ESPN. Jets trading QB Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers for a 2021 6th-round pick and 2nd and 4th-round picks in 2022. So Darnold is going to Carolina for picks.
Oh,
interesting. So
is Teddy Bridgewater going to be a referee, like we saw?
Is DJ Moore? What does this do? This is good for DJ Moore.
This is good for DJ Moore.
Yes.
Robbie Anderson too. Robbie Anderson played with Darnold.
Yeah, is it then?
Is it?
I think it's good. Good news.
Maybe.
Well, I think it's good news for Sam Darnold. It's good news for Sam Darnold.
Let's see what Sam Darnold. I'm gonna look up Sam Darnold's
Yeah,
ball
this
complete.
Zach Wilson is for sure going to the Jets now.
That looks
Good.
locked and loaded. That's going to happen.
Oh man, I'll talk about a player that you are just like I am just falling in love with. Is Zach Wilson, man? Watching that guy's tape, it's hard not to fall in love with that guy. Let's see, deep ball attempts. Sam Darnold had 37 last year. That ranked 25th in the league. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't really.
But it is that whole Adam Gase effect.
Yeah, like I don't really want to judge.
I just want to see what it's going to be like. I'm just excited for the newness. I've thought Sam Darnold was really New York's never did him any favors. And
27% deep ball completion, 33rd in the league. But that could get better. That I expect that to get better without Adam Gase.
Regardless, exciting. We got a rookie quarterback who's going to have real opportunity there in New York. Zach Wilson, that's exciting. Bridgewater. Bridgewater to me, I had a lot of faith in Bridgewater coming in last year. I talked him up. I took him in a couple of leagues, my second or third QB, and he just seems like a really, really, really good backup quarterback. That's how I'm kind of stacking up Teddy Bridgewater. Is like he's a great backup. He can come in and win you games, and if you're in a pinch, yeah, but I don't think you ever really want him to be your main QB. He just doesn't have enough confidence in that deep ball. And in today's modern NFL, you got to be able to hit him deep at a regular clip if you're going to be one of those top teams.
We'll see that. I am really excited to see what Sam Darnold can do now. Like get him like there. I don't know. Well, and man, Zach Wilson now for sure going to the Jets, baby. Woo, let's go.
Do we have a new coach over in New York?
Robert Saleh he was a defensive coordinator from the San Francisco 49ers the last few years. Okay. And he brought in LaFleur's little brother to do the offense, to run the offense. So
okay. Well, I'm excited to see what's happening. The new is always exciting, especially when we're having such major shifts in themes and expectations in the NFL. I enjoy getting that new blood in there.
Talk about going to a place. I love that therapist just said great spot for Darnold. Talk about going to a place that's completely different from Adam Gase. And we're talking about now Carolina, which will be multifaceted, which will be a spot that can hopefully revamp him because it's youth in the coaching staff. Matt Rule coming in from a college system and running one of the best college systems we've seen is now going to get Darnold and try to revamp Darnold. And I think that's actually a great thing to have instead of his second stint with a team and coordinator and all that, or head coach, be somebody who's hard-nosed and not somebody who's open, and forward thinking. So excited to see what happens here for Darnold. Really,
look at the weapons that he now He goes from Denzel Mims in and out of the lineup and Crowder and
from no running back to maybe the best running back in the game.
Yeah,
at least you can make the argument. Like
he's running backs last year. We're talking about LaMichael Pirine and Frank Gore.
Yeah,
like holy cow, man. Sorry, dude.
Hey, don't you disgrace Frank Gore like that.
No, Frank Gore's amazing.
I know what you're saying.
Like,
amazing 15 years ago. Yeah, but
hey,
you brag about playing with, but not that year.
That is why. Good for Carolina. Good for Carolina. Good for the Jets. Good for the Jets
because finish the mock draft, dude.
Yeah,
we got it all the way through, ladies and gentlemen, and now we get to jump into the fun stuff, y'all, where we break down and ruthlessly tear apart your teams and everything that makes you a human being. No, I'm just playing. We're just going to go ahead and touch on your squads and give our eighth C lower than a C minus before, and let you know our overall take and why we did it. But before we take a shot at your own teams, let's have Johnny and Big Travie break down their squads. Let us inside the brain and let us know what they were thinking or just weren't thinking when it got started. So
yeah, if you ever looked inside my brain, it would look like that episode of SpongeBob where they looked inside SpongeBob's brain and it's just a bunch of him running around, burning files and freaking out. It's real SOS in here. But I'll start us off here. I was at the 1-2 position. I selected within the top 4 because it's looking like I'm going to get within the top 4 in our league of records. So wanted a little bit of a chance to talk a little bit about or like strategize there. But this is obviously a totally different team from that. So Dalvin Cook, CEH on my first 2 picks. Then went with A.J. Brown, Mike Evans. Wanted to build a good base between the first and 6th rounds of 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs. And I thought I was able to do that with Melvin Gordon here, who I got in the 5th. look, I think Melvin Gordon is a tier break for running backs here. After him, it kind of gets into the mucky muck of guys that are in backfields that are ambiguous and things like that. Melvin Gordon, with Lindsey gone too, he's going to be the guy for Denver. And they paid him the money as such last year. So I think Melvin Gordon getting slept on. We've talked about it at length on this show. I think he's a great pick here for me in the 5th. Love DJ Shark, especially with Trevor Lawrence coming to town. I think there's going to be some big things there. And we saw Shark get it done with guys like Jake Luton at times. So as long as he's healthy and they get a system they like, that spread system that, Urban Meyer's going to run, I think that DJ Shark's going to be good. Josh Allen, we talked about how much of a value this is to get Allen in these later rounds. I think this guy is one of the few guys that can touch the QB1 overall pinnacle, and I think he showed that last year. Jarvis Landry, Myles Gaskin, Julian Edelman. Like, obviously, Jules has got to come back. We'll see if he comes back to New England or where he goes. But he's been, when healthy, a top 15 PPR wide receiver. So I like just getting the value there in the 10th and betting on that he should be able to come back. Myles Gaskin was another one. As it stands now, I think Myles Gaskin is the lead back. We could see what ends up happening in Miami, but I like that pick there just as a depth piece. Jarvis Landry, he does what he does, and I think that offense, second year, in the Cleveland offense with the new head coach, is going to be, Jarvis is going to continue to do what he does. Then I wanted to stack 2 tight ends with some upside. Obviously, we know the athletic profile of both of these guys. Evan Ingram and Mike Gesicki, athletic freaks, spark scores off the charts in offenses that should have to throw the football a ton. So I think I should be able to either mix and match these guys, or one of these guys could be a breakout and hit that top 5 at tight end. And then Henry Ruggs, just a dart throw in the late round. Fastest wide receiver. We're going to talk about second-year guys a lot in the coming weeks, and Henry Ruggs is a second-year guy that I'm excited about. He should get manufactured looks in that offense, and if he can stay healthy, should be a main vein for Gruden. So pretty satisfied, I think, all the way down the board. It's pretty balanced. I liked what I was able to come away with, and I think it's a squad that competes.
Other than the Julian Edelman pick, I think this draft is pretty fantastic. From just the rosterable players, your running backs, Dalvin Cook and CEH, love that. My 3 wide receivers would be AJ Brown. Yours are AJ Brown, Mike Evans, DJ Shark. Love the floor, love the ceiling. Josh Allen should be elite if he's not fully classified there already. Some depth there in Gaskin, Jarvis Landry, nice there, and then Evan Ingram and Mike Gesicki, really 2 nice late round upside tight ends. Feeling good about this one.
Yeah,
nice job.
That was good. Good draft, Travis. Austin mentioned that he had never, given below a C- in any other drafts. That might change on this one.
No, it still won't.
No,
luckily he doesn't grade your team. So
yeah, that's actually fairly. Yeah, good point. So I will just break down what I did here. It was definitely. I liked where I was going in the beginning of this draft for sure. I had the 104 spot. I took Alvin Kamara. Then James Robinson came around in the second. I was going between him and Austin Eckler and Joe Mixon. Those were the 3 that I was kind of deciding between. Luckily, I was able to get Joe Mixon. Austin Eckler went right after me, or 1 pick after Robinson. So I was kind of in the same ballpark there. Then Pat Mahomes in the 4th. I wasn't necessarily looking for this, but I was like, okay, a quarterback in the 4th round of a 10-team league, it could set me apart from, every little advantage. Like Pat Mahomes is an advantage on most weeks over other quarterbacks. So I thought the price was a little bit right. I wasn't in love with any of the wide receivers there. To be honest with you, I did like Mike Evans, but I was hoping he would fall to the next round. I took the gamble, didn't work out. I took a lot of gambles this whole entire draft, and it didn't work out. So case in point, don't be like me on this one, Whisper Nation. In the 5th round, DJ Moore, I needed to grab a wide receiver. DJ Moore was there. This was before the news break. I even love this pick even more now that with the news broke while we were live here. Jamar Chase in the 6th, we talked about this. I did not want to do that. I would have taken CeeDee Lamb there, whatever. My plan was to grab either Cortland Sutton or CD in the 7th to kind of solidify it. It just was all downhill from after that. Leonard Fournette in the 7th, don't mind that value, but I really didn't need another running back. Rondale Moore is a rookie wide receiver once again. I don't like loading my team with rookie wide receivers because they generally, if they do end up popping off, it does take a little bit. TJ Hawkinson was a bright side of my draft. I feel like in the 9th, I like that one. Devontae Parker in the 10th, I like that as well. Tyler Higbee, I kind of pulled it together in the second part of this draft, but not enough. I think Jalen Reagor in the 12th, and then AJ Green in the 13th. So overall, I thought I started off well, but then it just kind of unraveled. And
I think you're more in your head about
Me
this
too.
This draft. I think this draft is actually well put together. I think you say you lost it, at the Jamar Chase pick, right? And then, but like Leonard Fournette, let's see where Rondell Moore goes. But Leonard Fournette down, like the 7th down, you didn't miss other than the Rondell Moore pick, unless he lands with somewhere good. I thought this was well put together. I think you've got some depth here. You're very top heavy at the top, like you mentioned. DJ Moore is a solid wide receiver to have. I mean, obviously, you didn't know Sam Darnold would be there when you drafted him, but we'll see how that pans out. We'll have to dig into some of the numbers. But Moore is such a good wide receiver. I can't imagine that Darnold's so bad of a quarterback that he's not going to be able to, float his value.
Yeah.
This is a fine team. I think this team competes as a playoff team, and it's a fine team to have.
Yeah,
and team with Alvin Kamara and Patrick Mahomes is probably going to make the playoffs.
The only maybe hole that you have there is in the second wide receiver. I even like the Rondell Moore as the upside play there. And if you would have just taken instead of Jamar Chase, even a DJ Chark or a Brandon Ayuk or a Deontay Johnson to pair along with DJ Moore, then you really don't have any holes, and you got some really, really solid strengths on this team, even at the weird positions like TJ Hawkinson and Tyler Higbee.
Parker is such a value.
It's true.
Like Parker's going to fill in for whatever you need between Chase and Moore, I think, and then if Reagor does what he does. So, yeah, I think your wide receivers are scary, but that you have some good depth to fill that out.
Yeah, that's a fine team.
All right.
Let's see how the rest of Whisper Nation did. Yeah, I'd love to take it over.
You want to
start at the first spot? Hooked on a Thielen at the 1-1, took Christian McCaffrey. Easy pick there. Like it. Julio Jones, we've talked about probably a little bit of a reach, 5th wide receiver off the board coming into this season. Not it for me for Julio Jones, but it's, I get it if you're going to do that. Michael Thomas, another player with big upside. We'll see how he does without Drew Brees being behind center. But Michael Thomas is a talent, even if he's just running slants. I still like that pick there, especially in the 3rd round. And then Kenny Golladay. Wow, you are really rolling the dice here on some of the wide receiver picks, though. Huge upside with Kenny Golladay, just like with Michael Thomas or Julio Jones, but question marks again. He's on a new team, new quarterback, and he's got a new hip. So, I wish him the best. I wish the Giants the best. I wish your team the best. I'm a little nervous, though, with these 3 wide receivers with so many question marks. Chris Carson re-signed in Seattle. I feel really good about that pick. Still just 26 years old, runs really hard. CeeDee Lamb there in the 6th, some depth at the wide receiver spot. I'm sure Johnny has words about it. Lamar Jackson in the 7th. I think a lot of us expect Lamar Jackson to keep his floor because of his running ability, but we're holding out hope for the quarterback stats, specifically through the passing game. We'll see. But I don't think where you got him there was a problem at all, considering Patrick Mahomes was taken 3 rounds before. Phillip Lindsay, you're probably going to throw that one away. He's now in Houston, as is like every other running back who's played for multiple teams now. Devontae Smith, we'll see where he lands. Tony Pollard, you're going to have something happen to Zeke. Gronkowski, he's good, not great. Marvin Jones, new team again. Tough to say with that new team. He was underrated in Detroit, but with a new team, it's tough to say where his appropriate draft position should be. And then a rookie wide receiver there. This team is kind of exciting, but I'm really concerned by those question marks presented at most of the positions, especially at the wide receiver spot. And then the wide receiver or the running backs is Phillip Lindsay and Tony Pollard. You're probably going to end up dropping both of those guys. Chris Carson's going to be your number 2. You don't hate that. You're not. The thing that I have a trouble with these wide receivers is you're not ever going to be able to trade them and get the value that you'd want. And their upside is capped by either new quarterbacks or injuries. We might have already seen the best Michael Thomas and Kenny Golladay had to offer us. So I respect this team. I don't think it makes the playoffs, though. I think it looks nicer on paper than it will at the end of the season. I'm going to go with a B- on this squad, C+.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on the C+ grade there. I think that's kind of where it stands.
I think the upside is tremendous, but
Yeah.
I don't mind it. All right, Travis, you want to do Jay Blizzy?
Yeah, I will do that right now. Jay Blizzy, Josh, our reigning TFW Whisper Nation Listener League champion, started with Big Dog Derrick Henry, then went Austin Eckler, followed by Stephon Diggs, Darren Waller, Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, Cortland Sutton, Will Fuller. Just a mess of upside in that wide receiving core. I love that. Kenneth Gainwell, got to see where he lands. Ryan Tannehill, Tom Brady, Logan Thomas, J.D. McKissick. I'll say this. The running back depth scares me a little bit, but I love that he's got Derrick Henry here as a locked-in RB1, who's been one of the most durable backs we've seen come out of college and into the NFL. But then just I think in a PPR league where you're starting 3 wide receivers, you can get away with a lack of running back depth a little bit more because you're getting so much more points. And so if you stable up on the wide receivers, which he did here, I love Diggs, Cooper. Yes, we talk about Lockett being inconsistent, but as your wide receiver 3, your wide receiver 4, because you also got Cortland Sutton and Will Fuller, the upside's tremendous. You just might not be able to pick the right one here. I will. I just want to say that Tom Brady is a great upside play, but Ryan Tannehill is super consistent. So I love the dual quarterbacks here. And then Logan Thomas is your backup tight end and ability to kind of slide in as your flex. I think Blizzy did really well here. I think this is probably not an A because of the running back depth, but it's definitely a B or a B+ for me, and I really like this team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Very well done. Very well done. I'll take the cat's pajamas. I'll break him down. In the 5 spot, took Saquon, and we'll debate, Saquon and where he actually fits in that top 8 quite often in this offseason, but I like that pick right there. J.K. Dobbins in the 2nd, and Josh Jacobs as your 2nd and 3rd running back concerns me a little bit. I'm not as high on J.K. Dobbins as everybody else as far as the 2nd running backs go. I think he'll be a fine running back. I just don't know if he necessarily hits the upside that people think he'll hit, and we'll have a video coming out on that. We'll talk about breaking down those 2nd-year running backs. But Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin, and Juju Smith-Schuster in the 4th, 5th, and 6th rounds, and then grab Brandon Ayuk in the 8th. Those wide receivers are very, very nice, super stacked. Even if Juju isn't or can't bounce back to the old Juju that we saw a couple of years ago, having him as your wide receiver 3 or potentially even wide receiver 4, because you put Brandon Ayuk in that top 3, you definitely like that combo there. Raheem Mostert in the 7th. That's a pretty good pickup. I like what you did there. Chase Edmonds in the 9th. Once again, another value, great value. I was looking at him in a couple of spots. So I actually think it ended up balancing out for if J.K. Dobbins and Josh Jacobs aren't being what are panning out to be what they're expected to be. I think you actually be okay. Took Deshaun Watson in the 10th, T.Y. Hilton, Jalen Hurts. You're probably going to need Jalen Hurts because Deshaun Watson, who knows if he plays. And then Dallas Goedert as your tight end. I was a little concerned in the beginning as to this team, and but overall, I actually think he did quite well. I would probably give him a B+ here.
Yeah,
I like this. Yeah, I like that grade, that breakdown.
I agree.
Yeah.
No disagreements from me on this.
All right, Mac.
Austin can handle Mac from the snap.
Mac from the snap. Make sure you follow them as well. We had them on the show recently, and we've got their information in the bio, right?
Yeah, it's all within the description there.
Yep. All in our description there. So give him a follow. Yep. Do yourself a favor. He took Jonathan Taylor at the 6th spot. We've talked a lot about Jonathan Taylor. I'm excited if I'm grabbing him outside of the top 5. I think he's a guy who could return top 5 running back value, and you're getting him then. I think this is probably right where he deserves to go with just being behind Nick Chubb, but we're splitting hairs as we mentioned before. DK Metcalf in the second. I am really excited about the upside DK Metcalf brings. He has shown legitimate development between his rookie and sophomore season. He was number 5 wide receiver in standard, number 7 in PPR. He kept doing it even after Russell Wilson slowed down the second half of the season, not at that same level, but he still was able to deliver. He's such a physical freak. Watching him throw stuff on Gilmore to the ground at the line of scrimmage is something I will never forget. He can get you deep. He can get you short. DeAndre Swift there in the third. Tremendous upside for the second year back. The biggest question marks there are just how is the Lions backfield going to distribute touches? Kerryon Johnson, Jamal Williams is now a Lion. DeAndre Swift had the health issues, concussion issues. So we'll see. He's definitely the most talented back. He should feast. But there's been a lot of Detroit running backs that should have done things they didn't end up doing. So we will see about DeAndre Swift, but I like the upside there. He's got a big upside team here. Keeps that trend going with Chris Godwin in the fourth. I think it's kind of a nice value play there. He regressed a little bit last year, but the upside is still there. He signed a franchise tag, 25 years old. Chris Godwin is a monster. He's just got to get that opportunity. We'll see. Travis Etienne will depend on where he lands, but a high draft prospect could be a great pick there, depending on the landing spot. Odell Beckham, talked a lot about him and the potential resurgence year up in Cleveland. I am a supporter of the resurgence year. I think the talent for Odell is there. I think that the motivation for him returning or exceeding previous year's production is right on the table for him. I think that him and Baker are going to have better chemistry. I think the whole Browns offense is going to have better chemistry moving forward. Kyler Murray in the seventh, love it. I think he's a sneaky top number 1 overall quarterback draw this year. You got him there as the 5th quarterback off the board. I like that. Jerry Jeudy, expecting a good sophomore season from him. Kyle Pitts, you're taking a rookie tight end who's got a crazy amount of upside, but it's still a rookie tight end. And I don't think we've ever actually seen a rookie tight end perform like ever. So I'm not drafting any rookie tight ends ever until that changes. Good luck with that selection. Jalen Waddle, like the upside, again, it's just going to depend on where the rookie lands, and it's a rookie wide receiver. Rookie wide receivers are performing as of late, but it's still giving me pause when you could get somebody who's got a little bit more proven to them. Robert Tonyan, like the upside he's bringing and what the Packers hope to see him provide. So balancing him out with Kyle Pitts is nice. Corey Davis over there with the Jets now. Fine play. And then Jamar Jefferson, some running back depth there. You know, I think this is actually a pretty well put together team. If I look at Kyler Murray as the quarterback, the running backs would be DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne as the backup, not bad. DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, Odell Beckham as your wide receivers with Jerry Jeudy, Corey Davis, and Jalen Waddle as depth. Robert Tonyan's your starting tight end with Pitts. We'll see how he does. Yeah. I think that this team's got actually, for the amount of upside it brings to the table, it's got a healthy floor there as well. Like a Kyler Murray's floor and ceiling is really nice. DK Metcalf's floor and ceiling to me is really nice. Same thing with Jonathan Taylor. So this is actually like this is a B plus more than it is an A minus, but it's right on that flirting cusp for me. I don't see any holes. I like the upside play, and I don't see any picks that I would say were like out of place picks.
Yeah, this team could smash. It definitely has the range of outcomes to be the A, like you said. But like right now, even just on floor alone, it's really good.
Yeah, I think this is a really good team. All right. I got a Taylor of two worlds.
A Taylor of two worlds here. So he started with Nick Chubb. We were talking about that toss-up between Taylor and Chubb there. Then went DeAndre Hopkins, Antonio Gibson, George Kittle, Kenyon Drake. He had Russell Wilson, Todd Gurley, Marquise Brown, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup as a trio of wide receivers down here. Then Justin Fields, Chuba Hubbard, and Christian Kirk. There's a couple picks that I love in this. Nick Chubb, DeAndre Hopkins, Gibson, even Kittle in the fourth. Then there's a couple picks I just hate. Kenyon Drake in the fifth, Todd Gurley in the seventh. And I'm just like, I don't know what I need. This is not your fault, a Taylor of two worlds. I need to get a little bit better at Marquise Brown this offseason and understand where I think he should be valued. But I think that this team is very top heavy. Russell Wilson, Kittle, Chubb. I think Gibson has an ability to break out here. So for that reason alone, I think your starting lineup is fantastic. You're going to have Brandon Cooks. So let's say Marquise Brown's your third wide receiver. I actually think Brandon Cooks is your second wide receiver behind DeAndre Hopkins here. And I think that's okay. Right now, he's the only guy in town. I mean, this guy's going to get a massive amount of volume alone. If he can stay on the field, we get Watson maybe on the field this year. Brandon Cooks is definitely going to be a guy that's going to be probably a steal in a lot of drafts because people are going to be buying, the downturn of Brandon Cooks here, who's been 1,000-yard wide receiver most of his career. So I think the top heaviness of your running backs and your tight end and QB are really going to help you here. And I think for that reason, it's a B-, C+ kind of range. But I do I'll give it the B- nod because of the quarterback and tight end positional advantages.
Buy the dip, baby. Buy the dip.
Yep.
Yeah, the Todd Gurley one definitely freaks me out.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just call these nothing picks. So I think, it's definitely a nothing pick here. I don't think, but maybe on the off chance Gurley is able to get it done. Who knows? But
what's the best case scenario for Drake, right? That Josh Jacobs becomes a solid RB, like backup handcuff?
I think the best case scenario for Drake is that he gets more of the Jalen Richard role and he's the pass catching back and they use him in that fashion. And then he can be kind of a scat back that they like.
Probably better around the goal line too. That's honestly where I think that they could use him because he's so efficient around the goal line. That's where my concern is where Josh, I don't know where I haven't fully ranked out where Josh Jacobs should be and Kenyon Drake, but I am you guys already know where my spot is as far as like on these backfields that are like ambiguous. Like you go with the later round guy. I do agree though. It's probably a little too early for fifth.
There's just no way you take him before Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I do. Right, exactly.
There's no logic.
He's what you want what Kareem Hunt does out of Kenyon Drake. That's what you would like to see happen.
Yeah.
Unless you're like some make-believe world where you're like, Kenyon Drake is going to dominate over Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is going to get 4 touches a game. Kenyon Drake's getting 20 and is going to average 14.5 fantasy points every game.
Not going to happen.
Probably not.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right, we will jump. I'll do Lando's. I'll break his team down here real quick. So he took, with the 8th spot, he got Ezekiel Elliott, who we tremendously think is a really good value at the back end of the first round. Took Travis Kelce in the 2nd, then Miles Sanders in the 3rd. We talked about him as being potential value. Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen are his 3 wide receivers that he grabbed in 4, 5, and 6. I do like that trio. Especially where he got Adam Thielen. I think Adam Thielen was a very, very nice pick. Dak Prescott in the 7th. Then he grabbed Deebo Samuel in the 8th, which I do like in a PPR league. I really do think Brandon Ayuk is a good pick. James Conner, we'll see what happens there. He took him in the 9th. Then Justin Herbert in the 10th. We talked about him saying he wanted to grab 2 quarterbacks. Michael Pittman in the 11th. I like that pick a lot. Yep. Michael Carter in the 12th, and then Keyshawn Vaughn in the 13th. I overall would probably give this. I do like his wide receiver. I'd probably give this an A-, to be honest with you. He's got Travis Kelce. He's got 2 really good quarterbacks, and so he's keeping a piece off the board for somebody else. The 2 running backs I like. The 3 wide receivers are really good. Like they're PPR guys. Well done, Lando. This is probably my favorite draft so far.
I agree.
Yeah.
Where's the whole? I like the 3 wide receivers you got there. It reminds me of like the badass uncles at the barbecue. Like Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp, and Adam Thielen. Like 3 guys that are like, they're maybe you've seen them, they've operated. But like these are 3 uncles that are like in shape, are still cool. And like if you ever needed them to like go and rough somebody up on a weekend for you, like you'd hit up these guys. Like this is solid. There's no holes. It's good opportunity. It's great upside. I agree with you, Johnny. I think this is an A-. I think it's the best one we've seen so far.
Yep. All right. 2 wants to take short. Austin, you want to take?
Yeah. Let me jump into shorts here.
All right.
The 9th spot, Davante Adams, first wide receiver off the board. In the 2nd round, took Tyreek Hill, the 2nd wide receiver off the board. And I think Davante Adams, Tyreek Hill are the 1 and number 2 wide receivers as they should be selected as of now. So I like that. Najee Harris and David Montgomery were then taken. Big, risky play taking Najee Harris, but it is the first running back taken. You do have your selection there of the rookie backs. It just depends on where they land. In the mock draft setup right here, I think that's actually a pretty slick pick. From an upside perspective, the way it stacks, especially then going David Montgomery, who gives you that stability, gives you that bit of expectation already. We saw what he can do, and what he did at the end of last season was awesome. Mark Andrews, it's a sexy pick. Needs some things to break over there in Baltimore, but where you got him as the 4th tight end off the board with some space in between you and Darren Waller, or Mark Andrews and Darren Waller, it's not a bad pick. I got nothing negative about it. Kareem Hunt is your 3rd running back. It's pretty good. Deontay Johnson is your 3rd wide receiver in the 7th round. I really like. David Johnson, nice floor play running back there in the 8th, followed by Tyler Boyd. This is nice. This is good value. Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow as your 2 quarterbacks. All right. Zach Ertz is a backup tight end, and then Devin Singletary. And some running back depth. I think this team is really stacked up nicely. Great upside with the wide receiver positions there, and Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, and Deontay Johnson. Like, these guys are going to win you weeks. Not a set of holes at the running back position there. David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt, David Johnson, and then Najee Harris, who was actually your first selected back. Like that upside. This is good, especially when you didn't take a running back until the 3rd round. Mark Andrews, great upside again at the tight end spot. And Zach Ertz, it's nice. We'll see if he can get a resurgence, and he's not washed. We'll find out. The only issue I have here is with the quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence is a rookie. I know he's a very highly touted rookie and should be great, like Joe Burrow was last year and getting his 60 pass attempts. But I would still like to have somebody that's got a little bit more experience to their name and not coming off of an injury like Joe Burrow would be. You had a chance there to take Justin Herbert instead of Trevor Lawrence. If you would have taken Justin Herbert instead of Trevor Lawrence at this pick, I would be much higher on this team. I think it would really set you up well. I think quarterback is a liability. And if you would have taken Justin Herbert instead, quarterback could have been a point of strength for you. And that's how it goes sometimes, just one pick away from the entire identity of your team shifting. But that's why we're mock drafting. So you didn't, though. You took Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow. And that's really the only hole that I see. It's a big hole, but you're trying to hedge that bet with those 2 younger quarterbacks. Enough said on that regard. I feel good about this team being a strong B, leaning B+. If it had a different quarterback, if you would have taken Justin Herbert, it would have been the B+ A- range for me. But as of now, I think this is a really, really solid B team. You're just going to have to hopefully get lucky at quarterback.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I think it's the quarterback was the issue for me, I think, too, as well. But maybe we can get Burrow back in time to hit the upside that he showed last year, and you're okay. But yeah, definitely a B team, very top heavy with those wide receivers. Recovered nicely with some of the backs he was able to get by going upside down. He still kind of was able to do that.
I just found it a little interesting that I was looking at the Devin Singletary pick in the 13th, and I was like, oh, that's really late to get Devin Singletary. I don't want a part of Devin Singletary. But then looking, like, Zach Moss didn't even get drafted. That's kind of wild.
10-team league. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Though that backfield's going to be an interesting one, especially if they don't draft someone.
Right.
They haven't brought anybody in, so it's going to be one of those 2 guys if they don't draft anybody, which means you should know a guy you'd be willing to take a shot on of those 2.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be where breakouts come from. Are those ambiguous situations right there? So that's a good point, Johnny, to bring up right here. All right, so I'll bring us home with the fantasy football therapist, the FB therapist. I just want to thank him and everyone for joining us again. Everyone that's a repeat guest, and for the new ones, we love you. We're here every Monday. Fantasy football therapist goes Aaron Jones, Cam Akers back-to-back, RB robust. Second-year Cam Akers, love that pick here. And I really love this wide receiving core. Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, Robert Woods, T. Higgins for his 4 wide receivers between rounds 3 and 7. Austin and I were talking a little bit about those rounds being where you can hammer wide receiver a little bit here. I love the balance of Keenan Allen and Robert Woods as PPR studs that we know they get it done, then juxtaposed with Justin Jefferson and T. Higgins, who are second-years guys with great upside that flashed breakouts. I think this wide receiving core could be my favorite that was put together just based on upside and floor blend. So I really like that there. Javonte Williams, one of my favorite prospects to have watched on tape this year coming in. Really hope he gets into a nice spot because I think that dude's ability to shed tackles and bounce off of defenders is something special. Ronald Jones, we talked about the Ronald Jones Leonard Fournette debate. We'll see how that lands, but as your 4th running back, I think you swing for that upside there. That's a great piece to have. Aaron Rodgers in the 9th, continuously going to be doubted probably ADP wise, just based on age and relationship with the team and lack of weapons. But this is a guy that doesn't care who you are. I could go out there and catch touchdown passes if Aaron Rodgers wanted me to. Like, that's how good he could make me. Chase Claypool rocking here as another upside pick. Love that. Noah Fant. I would have loved the only knock on this whole draft is maybe you swap out one of those backs, AJ Dillon or Mike Davis for another tight end just to try and hedge your bet on the tight end upside. But I think Fant has such great upside. Like, this is a great pick as well. I think this is an A team. I don't have any holes here. I think this team's well put together. Starting roster is really good, and I think this is probably my favorite team. And FB Therapist does what he does, man. He drafts well.
Yeah, this is a really good team. I like the Mike Davis pick actually a
love
lot.
the pick.
Like,
that's why I say the only knock I could have is to swap one of them out. But I love both of those picks, AJ Dillon and Mike Davis as late round guys.
I didn't realize he had Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. He locked up that backfield. That's really nice then. And then the Cam Akers pick there. He's locked up a backfield. That's really good.
Yeah,
I mean, I would. He definitely has the best team here. But then this is where I would get picky and say, like, if you would have went in the 8th round instead of Ronald Jones, taken like a TJ Hawkinson there, or a tight end there, I think that would have been. Like, I think Noah Fant is definitely interesting right now, but I still think that there are some things that need to go his way. Whereas, like, I think there are more sure-handed tight ends that you can get a little bit later. And so that would be my only weakness, knowing that what you got later on, Mike Davis and A.J. Dillon. That's what. But other than that, that's just being, splitting hairs there.
I like the way you put it up.
I love this team.
There's still tight ends available on the waiver wire.
Johnny hates it, but I love it. I love this team.
Yeah, I like them.
I'm not saying I hate it. I'm saying this is the best team. I think it's.
I think we agree. This was the best one, and but there are a lot of good teams that drafted along with this other mock draft Monday that we've got in the bag. Another great one we did with Whisper Nation. Make sure you've liked and subscribed to the channel on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter and on Facebook to catch these notifications coming your way. Johnny drops the links to the sleeper room on Twitter. So make sure you follow on Twitter so you can draft along with us next Monday. We do it every Monday. We're going to be doing it from here until the start of the season with the mock draft marathon, 24 live hours of straight mock drafting. We'll be doing that in August. We're getting ready for it every Monday, though, from here on out. Boys, is there anything that I missed? Anything we'd like to let Whisper Nation know? Any final thoughts?
No, I'm hungry. I was going to ask you guys what you think I should have for lunch.
Dude, I'm craving some Chipotle. I've been on some Chipotle.
Dude, I could have Chipotle every day, I think, and be okay. Like, I literally could eat there every single day.
I will say that I got kind of mocked because I said one of my goals in life was to get one of those Chipotle, the Chipotle card where you can get unlimited Chipotle.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that was one of my goals, and I got mocked.
The Chipotle talk here. Fantasy Football Therapist saying, sadly, maybe my last mock, starting a new job next week. Hopefully I can continue in the future. First of all, just want to say thank you, FB Therapist, for always joining on here. We appreciate you in a big way. Love what you're putting out there. Second of all, be like the rest of the cool kids on here and mock while at work. Don't get fired. No, I'm just kidding.
Congratulations on the job, man.
Yeah, awesome. Congrats on the new job. We appreciate the support, and we'll be seeing you when we see you, man. We appreciate you.
With that, I'm Austin Sear. There's Big Travie. There's Johnny Game Time Hicks. We're the Fantasy Whispers, and we're out.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Whisperers podcast. You can hear more from John and Travis on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TF Whisperers.